Excited about the interview that I'm doing today than I've been about an interview in a very long time. I don't know how many of you use the Find Me Gluten-Free app to help you find gluten-free restaurants. It's something that I've used for a number of years, and I am so delighted to have the founder of Find Me Gluten-Free, Jason Elmore, as our guest today. Now, whether you use Find Me Gluten-Free or not, and if you don't, there's a free version that is pretty all-inclusive and very wonderful. Even if you use it, you're probably going to discover a few new things by listening to Jason today. You're also going to hear about some of the changes that are coming. They're not really changing anything as much as they are adding to it and making it even better. And also a couple of the changes that they've implemented over the last few months. You might not be aware of them. So it's with great pleasure that I give you this interview with Find Me Gluten Free's Jason Elmore. Jason, it's really an honor to have you here today. We were talking before we started the interview, and I have been using the app that you created, Find Me Gluten Free, for about 9 years or so. It's been around for about 15 years. Is that right?
That's right. 15 years. The apps were released about 14 years ago. The website was the only thing for the first year or so.
Yeah, I was telling you it feels like a lot longer than that to me because it's become such an extension of my gluten-free life that I can't imagine being without it.
Totally. I mean, nine years is quite a long time alone. You probably stumbled across the website even before that.
I probably did. I just remember being so grateful when I found it. Let's start by you're telling everybody exactly what is Find Me Gluten Free. How did you get started with that?
Find Me Gluten Free is an app that helps people find gluten-free friendly restaurants. Our mission is to kind of facilitate the gluten-free community to share experience with each other so they can find those amazing gluten-free restaurants, other local businesses like bakeries. And I started Find Me Gluten Free back in 2010 after I was diagnosed with celiac disease.
I don't even know how you thought of it, but the way that it works, everybody, is that no matter where in this country you go, no matter where in the world you
Yeah,
go, you can find gluten-free restaurants in that area as long as people have taken the time to stop and pull up that restaurant and review it. It also shows you when the reviews were posted. So if something was posted 10 years ago, you might want to think twice and just double check with the restaurant first. Or if it
totally.
was posted yesterday. There's two versions, right? There's a paid version and there's a free version. The free version, though, is very, very all inclusive. But especially for someone with celiac disease, tell people why the paid version is so worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. The free version is you can find all of the same listings and most of the same content on the free version, but the paid version, if you travel a lot or you kind of eat out a lot in your town and you're always trying to find new restaurants, it's very helpful. There's a most celiac friendly sort that kind of tries to bubble up the safest places to the top of the list, which is one of the most popular premium features. There's also what we call collections, which is like a bookmarks thing where you can curate your own collections. If you're going on a trip somewhere and you want to plan ahead and you want to put your hotel and maybe a landmark as places of interest on your map and kind of fill out your options around those. You can do that. There are a couple nice other filters, like you can see just the places that have been claimed by the owner. You can see the places that are on a route or kind of in a direction that you're driving or walking. So if you use it a lot, premium is very, very helpful and it's relatively inexpensive. It's 24.99 US dollars per year, which is only a couple dollars per month.
Yeah, very, 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 very affordable and a wonderful tool. Do I remember correctly? that all of the Walt Disney World restaurants are represented on Find Me Gluten Free also?
There are tons of places in Disney, both Disney World and Disneyland actually listed. I don't know if all of them necessarily, but there are tons of options. They generally do a really good job at accommodating gluten-free and celiac
One
customers.
thing that I've loved is when I'm traveling with my family and we know what restaurant we're going to because I've figured it out ahead of time with your app. And then something happens and we don't make it to that restaurant or they get
Hmm.
hungry earlier. I just pull up the app and I put in my location.
Yep.
It automatically reads where I'm at and it will come back with the restaurants in the closest area to where I'm at. It could even be walking distance from where I'm at.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of why I initially created it. I was having trouble after a kickball game that I was playing in with my friends. We wanted to find somewhere to eat when I was living in Austin, Texas, and it was just really hard to find somewhere safe. It was the really early days of mobile phones, so the web browsers were still really slow, and none of the websites were made for mobile. So that's the exact case that uh, caused me to make the app.
Well, before we go any further, I have a couple questions for you, and we also have a question from somebody who followed the thread on YouTube where I announced that I was
Amazing.
going to be interviewing you. Why don't
Awesome.
we stop for a minute and share your screen? Let me just get this up so we can share. And before Jason shows you this, know that this app is available also for your desktop. You're going to be showing the cell phone version, correct?
Yeah, I'm showing the iOS version, but yeah, we have an Android app and we also have a desktop website as well.
Okay.
And here is the iOS version of the app. When you open the app, you can immediately see a list of restaurants and other local businesses nearby. What I usually do pretty much immediately if I'm kind of out and about or in a new city is I'll take a quick look at this dedicated filter. And this will show me all of the dedicated gluten-free restaurants and businesses nearby. In some cities, there aren't any or are only a few. In some cities, there are a bunch.
Well,
The
back in the day when you first started this, there were hardly any.
Oh, almost none for sure. Um, but but yeah, there are many more now, and in some cities you have a choice of a handful of dedicated gluten-free places. I always love to not only support a dedicated gluten-free business, but it kind of takes the mental load off, and I don't have to really think about anything if I go to a dedicated gluten-free business. So
And
that's
I've
the
seen you have a food truck listed. So food trucks are there along with everything else.
food trucks, all different types of businesses, food stands, places at food courts, and then regular brick and mortar businesses as well. After that, if there aren't too many dedicated options in the neighborhood I'm in, or I'm not in the mood for any of the types of food that are available there, I'll usually do what we call a most celiac friendly sort, and that is a premium feature, and that that kind of tries to bubble up to the top the safest places in regards to cross contact with gluten. So you can see a couple of these have a bunch of great safety ratings. Um, and then from there, I'll kind of dive into each individual restaurant. If I'm in the mood for Mexican food, I'll take a look at this place. Um, and then there are a couple things you can do from the restaurant's listing page. You can take a look more in depth at the safety, and you can kind of see what people have upvoted and downvoted in regards to safety features. You can look at all of the safety ratings that people have left, stuff like that. And then you can also, I and a lot of people like to do is dive into the menu items, see what I'm going to order ahead of time, what kind of options there are. Um, and you can see the top menu items here. You can see if people said the restaurant has a gluten-free menu, gluten-free menu items marked, a separate gluten-free menu. Um, you can see photos of both the menu and the food, and then kind of look more in depth into the reviews about the menu items.
I'm
Um,
noticing on the reviews that it shows whether a person has celiac disease or not.
yes.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yes. So you can on your profile you can say if you're celiac, if you're gluten intolerant. There are a whole bunch of options you can pick from, and then you can also say if you're symptomatic, asymptomatic, somewhere in between, and you can also list your other dietary restrictions, like if you're dairy free, if you're vegan. Um, so you can kind of quickly see if other people match with your other dietary preferences. And then what I like to do, obviously, the heart of the app is reading reviews. So I'll scroll down and read a bunch of the reviews about people's firsthand experiences at the restaurant.
And as far as the security of people that are posting or sharing, you can pick a crazy username. You don't have to use your own. It's all very
Exactly.
secure. Nobody's able to gain your personal information, correct?
Exactly. We don't share anything with the restaurants. We don't even sell ads or anything. So all of the information is very, very secure, not shared with anybody, and you can kind of choose how much you want to put on your profile.
So you mentioned notifying restaurants, which takes me to the question from one of the users, and this is from Anne in Nantucket. And she wants to know, how do these restaurants get listed? Do you go out and personally search for them, or does someone have to create a review in order for the restaurant to appear on Find Me Gluten Free?
Initially, the way we started is I kind of researched thousands and thousands of restaurants and added them. But now most of the restaurants added are added by members of the community writing a review. We do also allow restaurant owners to apply to have a listing, and we will review all of those submissions and decide if this is a legitimate listing or not. And then we will also do some of our own research, but as a very small team, that kind of pales in comparison to the community submissions.
I have to share a story with you. This is something
Sure.
that I've learned, and I do it very often now. And it's a little manipulative, but it really works great. So if I'm going into a restaurant for the first time and it's not listed on Find Me Gluten Free,
Hmm.
talk to the manager, I've talked to the chef, whatever I needed to do to make sure that I feel safe giving the restaurant a try. I'll do this thing called, let me show you why I'm asking all of these questions. And I'll pull up the app and I'll say, have you ever seen this? It's called Find Me Gluten Free, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to be leaving a review of you today.
Yep. Amazing.
Food!
Uh, I I don't think that's manipulative. That's great. That's
Oh boy, do you get great service.
yeah, yeah. No, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, no, I love that.
You mentioned a small team, so what's the hardest part of putting this all together with working with such a small team? Because it's a huge, huge undertaking.
It is a huge undertaking. I think the biggest challenge as a small team is kind of we need to set an expectation of what we can and can't do, and that's really challenging. Like we can't talk one-on-one to every restaurant listed on Find Me Gluten Free because we could be consumed as a team of 50. We could be consumed every day doing that for restaurants all over the world. So just kind of like setting setting those expectations of what we can and can't do. We can provide a place for the community to share their experiences. We can do our best to make sure that information submitted and listed is accurate, but there are limitations there. we can do a better job at setting those expectations, but it's really challenging. People are used to using Yelp, Google Maps, Apple Maps.
I've got to tell you, I'm pretty sophisticated when it comes to using apps and when it comes to also research. Well, I'm a professional writer, so of course I do a lot of research. I never once felt slighted by the way that this is put together or the way that it's being overseen. And I love the fact that it kind of takes a village. It's really up to
Totally,
all of us who subscribe to the app or just have the free version to work with it and go in and say, okay, the last time I went to this restaurant, it was pretty good, but I got a little bit of a reaction this time. It really has to be up to us. And after all, we're the ones
absolutely,
with the disease, we're the only
totally.
ones truly able to test whether or not the food is working for us or
To
not.
Totally. Well,
Yeah.
that's great to hear. I appreciate that. If we had a team of 100 people, the app would be $1,000 a year. And that's just not something that the vast majority of people would be willing to pay. So yeah, it's a delicate balance, but most of the feedback has been so positive. So it's really great. The community has been so amazing.
What type of improvements are you working on?
So we just released a safety quiz, and as of last week, in order to leave a safety rating, you have to have passed the safety quiz, which is a big change um, from how we started. So that's been really exciting. We still have some work to do with kind of encouraging people to take more people to take the safety quiz. We've already had a ton of people take it, and people are leaving better safety ratings already. In the next couple months, we're also releasing what we call dining questions that are going to be translated to a couple different languages when we first launch, and hopefully more after that. And it's going to be a list of questions that you could ask a server or a manager at a restaurant to help you kind of vet their safety precautions and if they have gluten-free options or not, um, in a couple different languages. I think the static translation cards are helpful, but we're kind of taking it in a little bit of a different way. So there's a little bit more back and forth. Um, so you'll show a server the safety question and they can actually answer yes, no, or like I'll go get a manager who can say. Um, because if you just kind of hand somebody a static card, it's really hard to tell how much they understand it. So that's our new take on that. Hopefully it's helpful and hopefully we can get it translated into lots and lots of languages eventually.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's really exciting. It should be out in the next couple months. And then beyond that, there are lots of improvements to the review process. I think we could do a little bit better job kind of splitting up the review process and making it a little bit easier to understand and allow people to more easily tag menu items and add photos and stuff like that.
I really appreciate you being so transparent. I mean, it's so much fun to have something that you already think is fabulous and wonderful. Talking about Disney, Disney comes to mind again. And yet it's so much fun hearing what's going on behind the scenes and how they're looking to improve things and that they
Totally.
realize that some things maybe need to be done differently. The only thing is a lot of places don't always admit it. When they do,
Totally.
it just shows how much you care about the people that are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of that's the biggest thing we can do is just keep listening. We're providing the app for the gluten-free community, so we have to keep listening and come to it with a lot of humility.
And now it's gotten to where if I just go on my phone and just do a general search and say gluten-free San Francisco, the
Yep.
first thing that comes back now is the Find Me Gluten-free links. You don't have
Oh,
to scroll through trying to find it anymore. You're right there front and center, which is great.
totally. Yeah, that's one of the things I've worked really hard on the for kind of the almost the whole time doing this, just uh to get more and more people into the app, uh writing, the more people we get into the app, the more people are writing reviews and sharing experiences with the rest of the community. So it's kind of super beneficial for everybody.
If anyone listening has questions for Jason, post them in the comments below. I'll be sure and put all the information on Find Me Gluten Free in the show notes. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Jason?
Um, the my biggest ask of the community is write a review. There are so many reasons to write a review. If you want to reward your favorite gluten-free friendly business, write a review. It helps them. It helps up the other people find them. It helps yourself because it helps them keep thriving. Um, yeah, write a review. Everybody has valuable information they can share with other people in the gluten-free community.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome to come back once you have these
Yep.
updates done. If you want to talk about them a little, I'd love to have you here. We'd like to hear more.
Definitely, definitely will do.
All right. You take care, Jason. Keep up the good work. And to all of you who have left reviews on Find Me Gluten Free, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.